Morning, everybody. So this is the morning after our competition, and I have a few notes here that I want to go over. Nothing in super detail. One thing before I forget is if you did compete, first of all, congratulations on stepping up. That is such a rarity when you really look at our entire population and everyone that you've ever met. There's a lot of people that have never even thought to do something, not just stepping out of the box, but actually like doing something competitive, and then competition to where you're actually wrestling with another person that's trying to choke you and bend your arms backwards and rip you. I mean, it's pretty cool. And that's where, there's quotes, saying that all men are created equally, but then some wrestle. Like I saw that, and I'm like, oh, I guess there was somewhere in jiu-jitsu how you could replace anything with whatever you're into that you think is beneficial. That being said, it really is a special thing when you say, I am going to go to this competition and I am going to train hard for it, and I'm going to lose weight to, I'm going to be disciplined with my eating to get into a weight class where I actually have to weigh a certain amount. I think that's pretty cool. It just shows commitment, discipline, focus, because you're focused on, like, I've done that. I had to get under, I had a super fight with a guy that was like 180 or something. Maybe he was less, but he goes, I'll do it if he's like 200 pounds. And I thought, yeah, I could weigh 200 pounds. And I was probably like 220. And I remember I got down, I was like 215, but I got down to 200. And I've been there ever since. Like, it was that thing I needed. I won too. That's even better. But it was the fact that even if I lost that, it's like I was in such good shape. And now I know what that feels like. Because when you're in the best shape of your life, you can never lie to yourself. That's why people come and they want to do jiu-jitsu in the first place. They want to get back in shape. They'll always tell you, and you're thinking about it right now, like, oh, I was in the best shape of my life when X. That's where you have to try to replicate that to where you're physically and you're at now and what you're capable of doing. So that's why I think that the competition is good. It inspires us to do more. So win, lose, or draw, that's step one, is getting out there and getting to it. Now, step two, once you get out there and let's say you train really hard, you go out, you win all the time. And that's when you want to start taking it more seriously and studying what you're doing to make it better. And that's step two we're going to talk about. So a good example yesterday was we had a lot of wins, but we had some losses. And we have to look at those losses. And this is what you do. You take that video, and we're going to do it together as a team. So I'll get the footage, and I want to see where you guys are at. So I want to look at whoever got stuck in mount position. So you're stuck in mount. And we've gone over this in class, and you go, yeah, I know the mount escapes. Well, do you, or did you get stuck? Can you pressure test that a little bit more? And I'm not picking on you. This is how you have to self-analyze yourself. So everybody that competed yesterday or watched the competition and saw, like, man, they really got stuck there. Could I have gotten out of there? And you think, oh, I always get out of there when I'm training, when I'm in the training room. It's different on the competition mat. Your nerves are up. You have tunnel vision. It's like, one guy told me that's why he doesn't compete, because whenever he competes, he's like, and he turns into like a mess. Well, that's like a really good reason of why you should, because that's something that you can conquer and you can figure out. Yesterday, we saw some people come back from a loss and come back and avenge it and put a smackdown too, like to add to it. It was great. I saw some big comebacks, and I've always been more impressed by that than someone that can just walk through everybody. And Teddy Atlas said this about Mike Tyson. He said that as a boxer, as a boxer, he's like 50 and whatever, but as a fighter, he's actually 0-4. And he explained it because, and I'm not as tough as Mike Tyson. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm getting at is he explained about Mike that whenever he got hit back and somebody tested him, he lost. That's how he explained it. Like, yeah, he decimated everybody else, but whenever he got tested, he would fold. So he's technically 0-4 as a fighter. Like when he got hit back, that's when like you don't want to play anymore. So I've always said you want to be the kind of person that can dish it out, but you got to be able to take it too. And I personally won't do something to somebody I wouldn't want to be done to me, but I'm also respectful of people that don't want it done to them. But if they're trying to do it to me, that means I can do it back. That's just my rule. That's what I liked about this competition, though, is we built camaraderie and people are coming together. I saw inspiration, especially with the kids, Ashley, Addison, Ethan, Elena, Luca, like Lewis, like I just, they were like they were adults, the way they handled themselves and that nervousness. So if you're an adult and you're nervous to compete, put yourself in like a 7-year-old little boy's like little body and go out there and try your hardest. And you've only been doing jiu-jitsu for a few months. It's awesome. I saw a lot of people step up to do something that they didn't necessarily want to do. And they have stuff to work on now. Like that's the cool thing about this. It's not about going, and it is cool to win. I got a lot of medals. I got a lot of trophies. I love winning, but I love that because I was a loser for so long. Like I lost so many matches. My first wrestling season when I was in high school, I should have just quit. It was bad. I was probably the worst wrestler on my team. And I was probably the worst at jiu-jitsu when I started too. But if you stick with something, you'll figure it out. It's with anything, so just have that confidence and don't think, well, I'm not good at doing certain things. Like, shut up. You are. You got to put in the work. And it might take you twice as long. Most people get their black belt now in like 6 to 8 years, 10 years. It took me 16. It took me a long time. It is what it is. I had a stripe taken off my belt at one point. Like that's a real story. It didn't really bother me though. I just went out and trained. Like it never, man, they could call me and say, we're restarting you at white belt. All right. It's going to be a bad day for some white belts at a tournament, but I'll do it. That being said, you want to embrace where you're at, do what you can with what you got today and have fun. There's a guy that was I think he was in his late 60s competing yesterday as a black belt. That's really cool, and now let's talk about what is good about competition for self-defense, because some of you guys are training with me. You're like, well, you're always talking about the self-defense versus sport. Let me explain. Sport jiu-jitsu is awesome because you're testing your mettle, so to say. You're going to see what you know against other people that know jiu-jitsu that's not in a relaxed, calm setting, because that's what it is. It's the setting. But it's actually essentially the same thing. You're on a mat, you're in a gi, or you're wearing your stuff for no gi, and you're grappling. You do it. Some of you guys do it almost every single day, and you travel and you train and you study. The difference is it's the intensity. It's the intent. So when you're out there, someone's literally fully resisting and you don't know any of their moves or how they do things, or you have to be able to adapt to that very moment. How relevant is that for like real life self-defense? So now this is where it kind of goes into a crossroads, it goes into a split in the road. Is you'll compete and your mindset is like, I want to learn jiu-jitsu for competition. You go compete and you go down that rabbit hole and you just become a gamer of jiu-jitsu and you're into all the little details. I love that. I think it's awesome. What's another cool thing though, is if you're into self-defense and you want to learn jiu-jitsu for it, you should still compete. And you think like, oh, well, there's rules and in the street, there's not rules. That's true. But what's cool is there are rules where you're not going to get seriously injured. And as a guy that was a bouncer for 10 years, I know what it feels like to be in an altercation with somebody that you don't know, and there are no rules and there's no referee, and it's just you and the other person, and you're in like a hallway and there's no cameras and it's just you and them. That's a freaky thing, because if you don't win, you don't know who this person is. You don't know if they have a gun or a knife. You don't know how much they weigh or what they know. You just have to go into it and adapt. I always took that mindset that I got from jiu-jitsu into everything I did, where adaptability. So if I'm in the street or if in competition, I just have to adapt to what's coming near me. And I want to study as much as possible and ready my body so I can have the endurance and the stamina and the ruthlessness to be able to persevere through no matter what comes to me and keep my head clear. So that's what I like about competition for self-defense. Oh, the other thing, just be on top. If your real goal is self-defense, then you should do a competition. And let's say someone does pull guard on you. Okay, let's pretend this is a altercation where you can't hit this person, but you have to make sure that you're using jujitsu, but they know jujitsu too. All right. And you happen to be wearing a coat and you got jeans on. That's your gi. That's the mindset. You can pretend that. Now, what's your goal at that point? To get the submission, to end it, obviously. But what if you don't get that, but you stayed on top the entire time? So you have to start looking like, well, if we were fighting, I was on top the entire time. Now, we're there though for a jujitsu competition, but they don't discriminate. Jiu-jitsu is for everybody. That's what's so cool about it. So now you can train for self-defense. You can go to the competition and just try to stay on top the entire time. But then after the competition, this is where your mindset can shift. You'll go do it and you'll go, man, I really want to win one of them gold medals. I want to win a trophy. It's like, so what happens, you'll go down into that rabbit hole of learning the rules and then training and aligning your training for those rules for that competition. And then you'll start doing things that you normally wouldn't do to train for self-defense. But what's cool is you can still train your self-defense and have that mindset, when you're training for real. And then when you're training for competition, you can have two modes and two switches, but whatever one that you think about the most is the one you're going to go to a default to in a crisis situation. And I've done a lot of different training, a lot of different martial arts. I did MMA. If anyone didn't know, I used to do the cage fighting thing. I was really into that. And that's what jiu-jitsu got me into fighting. And then fighting got me back into jiu-jitsu because I loved it. When you fight, you'll never rise to your level of expectation. You'll fall to your level of training. So the thing that I got the most out of competition was you get to see how you're going to feel and how you're going to react when you're dealing with somebody that's not being compliant at all. And what if they have a really high pain tolerance? They're full of piss and vinegar and they want to rip your head off just as bad as you do. So now that's the competition. It's not the rules and the stuff that's going to hinder you. It's your mindset. So you can still actually train for self-defense, but go compete sport jiu-jitsu because it's the intensity. And I'm pretty sure it was Chris Howder that says it. It makes a lot of sense. He says, think street, train sport, practice the art. So think street, think street when you do anything jiu-jitsu related, train the sport of it. So you're like, when you train and you're doing a 6-minute round and you're doing the competition side of jiu-jitsu where you're trading back and forth, you're right, there are rules so you don't get hurt. That's so you can train every single day. And the more you can do something, the more you're going to get to practice. It just makes sense. It's like dry firing your gun. There's nothing wrong with dry fire. You can still improve your shooting just by dry firing. You can improve your jiu-jitsu by studying, by visualization, by meditation. But best is by practicing and reps and getting sweaty and critiquing and making things perfect and doing it over and over and over and having the focus and the discipline to find that one technique that you suck at and do it over and over and over and over again until you can't do it wrong. And it just becomes part of who you are. Now do that with every single part of your game. You'll be busy. And that's why I think it takes so long to get a black belt in jiu-jitsu, because there's so many moving parts. But that's why I like competition, jiu-jitsu. I think it's wonderful. And I think you get to really test your mind, body, and spirit. So if you guys have never done this before and you want to, I highly recommend it. And then after you do it, then you can kind of focus what you want your goal to be. If it's to win tournaments, you got to train a little bit different than how I train, because I'm training for street violence, but I'm doing it with sport intensity. And that's how I'm able to train every single day and have a really good mindset. And I focus my training around that goal. So I'm proud of everybody. I like what we're doing here. And let's see here. Anything else? Nope, that was it. I'll see you guys this week. And I'm super proud of everybody. I'm super proud of the comebacks, the step ups. Every single thing that you guys did yesterday was pretty cool. It was very team building. It was a lot of camaraderie. And I think that we're going to start doing two tournaments a year, at least as a team, just to start. So we'll do one in the summer, which will be the Buckeye, the one we just did. And then there's one, I think it's going to be Modern Flow. That's going to be in February. So we'll plan on doing that. And this is a beautiful thing. So again, if you guys are training for competition, stay the course on that. Oh, that's what I did want to say. everyone's saying, man, I need to get stronger. I need to get stronger. I don't know if you know this, but I'm like, I'm not a weak guy. You know, I have some pretty, really good strength training programs. If you guys need any, let me know and I'll hook you up. I do a lot of stuff with body weight because jujitsu is not a lot of like lifting the other person. It's a lot of controlling yourself and pushing you and controlling you and constricting and moving your body. So I got that down. I studied, I always looked at like animals are obviously stronger than people. So I started doing things relevant based on what animals are doing. So when I look at, you know, how a dog goes at somebody and they don't let up and they're just so focused and they're on and they're biting, apply that to your jiu-jitsu. Watch how when someone's running from a dog, and what happens is they see that arm come forward and then they see it come back. They see it come forward while you're running. And when that arm comes back, they're going to come up from that arm that's back and they're going to grab it. And as it's coming back, they grab it and they pull. So you have 100-pound weight, 100 pounds, you know, that's half of what I weigh. So I'm double the size of this animal. I'm looking down because Scar's on the ground sleeping. But as I'm running and my arm comes back and that dog bites that arm as my arm's pulling back and they twist and pull, where am I going? I'm back. I'm getting twisted and pulled because at this point it's leverage, it's jujitsu, it's everywhere, it's physics. So when you guys can start training your body to assist you with your physics that you want for jiu-jitsu. So those movements that we do at the beginning of class, they're not to kill time. They're to make your body stronger. So if you focus and go into, you know, when you're training and you do everything absolutely perfect, you really won't actually talk a lot when you're training. And I'm pretty lenient about that. I've had coaches that would not allow us to speak while we were training. And we couldn't even smile. I mean, it was very strict. And I liked it because it was so focused, but the reason was that instructor wanted us to have extreme discipline and focus to the entire time from this very start of training all the way to the very end. He wanted extreme focus on every single movement we did. So our hip escapes, like, okay, I'm not going to use my thumbs, going to keep my elbows in, keep my head off the mat. When we're doing our bridge, being conscious, like, where everybody is, even if it was a packed room, you just synchronized, you went slower, you sped up to give someone else room, you synchronized, you became adaptable. You didn't go, oh, well, there's just a ton of people, there's no room for me to do a bridge. That means you're a negative asshole. Like, figure it out, become adaptable, work with people, talk to people. That's what it's about. It's about building yourself and building others. So that's what I got. And I'm proud of you guys. I think we're doing everything right. If you need a strength training program, let me know. I'm trying to put some stuff together. And if you guys need a diet, if you feel like, man, I'm fat and I need to lose weight, give me a call. I can get you on that. If you're like, I'm skinny, I need to get more, put on some muscle and get stronger, I can help you with that. I'm not a drug user. I've never been a drug user. I don't do the steroid thing. Some guys do, whatever. I don't judge. But if you guys are looking for the program that I use to get ready for competitions, I'll put it out there if you guys want it. And I'll have it in the Freedom Academy. I do a lot of stuff with sledgehammers, kettlebells, Bulgarian bags, and body weight. I think that's perfect for grappling. I definitely have never felt weak. I've never gone with another guy that's way bigger and felt like, oh, this person's stronger than me. Like, maybe it's a mindset, but I've never felt someone's been stronger than me. I can feel their strength and I'll tell them you are strong, but I've never felt like I've been manhandled. I've been beat, but I've never felt like I couldn't do anything. And I've been manhandled before. Wrestling, I think that's what inspired me to take my strength training so seriously, is so that way, I wanted to be that guy. I love Brock Lesnar. I always looked at, the big, strong monster grapplers. I'm like, yeah, I want to be like that. So I was always in the weight room. I was always studying, how can I get stronger? Pavel Tsatsouline, if you look at the Russian kettlebell system, essentially that's the mindset I follow. If you ever read the book called The Naked Warrior, the natives are getting restless. I better end this soon. Long story short, if you follow it's called The Naked Warrior by Pavel Tsatsouline. You guys can buy it, or you can just do my strength training program, because you'll be starting literally at step 1. I've already read and digested the material. If you want to read it, it's a great book, but it's how I model all my strength training today. So now, that being said, it's a hybrid of that. That's just one piece that I pulled, because I've learned a lot from, studying Pavel, Bud Jeffries, Diamond Dallas Page. his DDP yoga system. You think yoga, you think like yoga is like for girls. It's not, especially DDPY. Yoga will make you so strong because Joe Rogan says it's a martial art that you do to yourself, but it really is. Like I've always said, like kettlebells are a martial art of their own. And it's like kettlebells are the closest thing to being in a fight without getting hit or throwing a punch. Like you feel like you are in a fight. And that's why they call it the Grivery sport in Russia. It's the suffering sport. It's tough. You know, if you guys ever want a wicked kettlebell workout, I'll put you through one too. You guys are awesome. I'm proud of you. I hope you got something from this. And if you have any questions, just post them below. And I'm going to start doing these a little more often to give you guys any answers to questions and letting you guys know about the Freedom Academy that's going to be done this month. That's going to be the online Freedom Academy. And I cannot wait to tell you guys more about it, but get hyped about it because it's like all my energy is going into it and it's going to revolutionize the way you train, you know, on a different level. And there's nothing that's ever really been done like this. There has, but not on a platform like this, where it's going to be its own entity. So I'm super excited to tell everybody about it. I think it's going to change the way we train. And it's essentially for the person that wants to get into training at like step one. So we're pulling from a couple different pieces. So we have someone that wants to essentially be like what we do. They want to have knowledge of a good mindset, to have a good, strong mindset and be positive. And they want good martial arts skills for unarmed combat. They also want to be physically fit. They want to have an understanding though of weapons. So, you know, blades, pistols, long guns, and then dogs. We're actually putting dog training into the app in the training program. So you're going to know how to train your own dog. Like how cool is that? You know, Scar, he's my best friend. That's my dog, man. My dog Scar. No, he's my best friend. My dog trainer is the best in the world. Like I'm so happy with that guy's knowledge, and he's gonna share that with people, and he's going to teach you guys how to train. I think that's cool. We're doing stuff with vehicles. So even martial arts inside the vehicles, gunfighting inside the vehicle, stuff with blades, emergency preparedness stuff, how to literally drive your car tactically. I mean, we're putting so much into this. It's crazy. And the other piece of that is creation. So the final step will be you want to do something with all of this knowledge for yourself, but maybe it's not based around martial arts or fitness or anything, but it's something else. It's going to give you those tools to help you be more creative and do something for yourself. That's like the final evolution. Is Eric Paulson told me that at the highest level of martial arts, you're not really concerned about hurting people. You're concerned about helping people. It's not about hurting people. It's about helping people. So my whole thing has always been about finding the most effective way of personal protection, self-defense. You know, working as a bouncer, I wanted to know what worked, and then I got into firearms and knives and dogs and vehicles, all this stuff. But like that's what I created with like my mindset of that. So now I want to give other people my creativity tools of how they could build something for themselves and turn it into what they want. So it's going to be everything, the mindset, the physical stuff, the future, and building a life of freedom. So that's what we got. You guys are awesome. Good to talk to everybody today, and I'll see you this week. Proud of you.